I still remember the first time she said my name, softly, like she was testing the sound of it before deciding whether to keep it. Her voice had that low, careful tone people use when they've learned to hide their feelings too well. And maybe that's what caught me, not her beauty, not her age, but the quiet restraint in how she existed. The clinic was nearly empty that evening. Rain pressed against the windows, a soft static in the background. I was supposed to be finishing charts, but she was my last patient. The kind of last you don't rush. She walked in wearing a pale gray coat, hair damp from the weather, a hint of perfume, something warm, something that didn't try too hard. When she smiled, it wasn't perfect. It trembled just enough to make me want to steady it. "Long day?" I asked, mostly to fill the silence. She tilted her head, meeting my eyes longer than she should have. "You could say that," she murmured. Something about her voice carried fatigue and grace in equal measure. I noticed how her fingers fidgeted with the hem of her sleeve, the kind of detail you shouldn't notice about a patient, but I did anyway. When I checked her pulse, my fingertips brushed her wrist, a small, unremarkable touch that somehow shifted the air between us. Her skin was cool, but beneath it, her heartbeat was steady. Strong. It made mine unsteady by comparison. "You're a bit cold," I said quietly. "Maybe I just need warmth," she replied, eyes flickering to mine for a heartbeat too long. That was the first moment I realized how easily she could undo me. Not with words, but with the pauses between them. We talked about everything except what mattered. Her work. The weather. The way time never feels slow enough when you need it to. And the entire time, her voice stayed soft, but her silences were louder. I tried to keep things professional, but professionalism didn't prepare me for the way she looked at me when I handed her the prescription, like she was reading something in my face, something I hadn't said aloud. "Thank you, doctor," she said, and her smile appeared again, tired, genuine, almost apologetic. "I'm not a doctor," I corrected, smiling faintly. "Still a trainee." "Then maybe that's why you still listen," she said, so quietly I almost thought I'd imagined it. For a moment neither of us moved. The rain eased into a rhythm, the fluorescent lights hummed, and her hand lingered just a breath away from mine on the desk. If she noticed how close we were, she didn't move back. Her eyes, dark, steady, impossibly calm, held mine until something in my chest shifted. It wasn't attraction, not exactly. It was recognition. Like meeting someone you were supposed to have known all along. Then, without warning, the door behind us creaked open. A nurse stepped in, apologizing for the interruption, holding a clipboard. The moment broke like glass underfoot. Silent, sharp, irreversible. She pulled her hand back, slow, graceful, as if trying not to disturb what had just happened. "Take care of yourself," I said, my voice thinner than I intended. Her gaze lingered one more second, enough to say everything she couldn't, before she turned and walked out. The door closed behind her, and the scent of her perfume stayed. I sat there longer than I should have, my fingers still remembering the ghost of her touch. And for the first time since I'd started this job, I realized healing isn't always one-sided. Because somehow, in that quiet, rain-soaked evening, my patient had fixed something I didn't even know was broken. Until I saw her again, and everything I thought I'd contained started to unravel. She came in again the following week. Same time. Same rain. As if the weather had been waiting for her too. I told myself it was coincidence, that patients come back for follow-ups all the time. But when she walked through the door, the room felt smaller, like it recognized her before I did. Her name was Elena. She said it almost shyly, as if revealing it might cost her something. We fell into conversation too easily again. I asked about her health. She asked about my work hours, my plans after my internship. Simple things. But her tone made them feel heavier, like she was testing how far the boundaries could stretch before they broke. I tried to stay professional. I did. But she had this way of talking, measured, careful, that made every silence hum with the things we weren't supposed to say. When she laughed, it wasn't loud. It came from somewhere deep, like she hadn't used that part of herself in a while. Do you always take work this seriously? She asked, her lips curling slightly as I scribbled in her file. Only when someone's watching, I said before thinking. She looked up, surprised. Then, softly, then maybe I shouldn't watch. The air shifted. Her words were gentle, but they left something trembling between us. She wore a ring, thin, gold, unpolished. She didn't mention a husband, and I didn't ask. But once, while she was talking, I noticed the faint tan line where it had rested for years. That silence told me enough. I wondered if she came here because she was lonely. Or if she stayed lonely because it felt safer than trying again. I wasn't sure which was worse, wanting someone I shouldn't, or realizing she might want the same. She reached for the pen I was using, her hand brushing mine. It wasn't an accident. Not exactly. Her touch was light, deliberate, the kind of touch that says, I know I shouldn't, and does it anyway. My chest tightened. I wanted to pull away, but I didn't. Sorry, she murmured, though her hand didn't move right away. Her skin was warm this time. I could feel the faint tremor beneath it. When she finally withdrew, it felt like something unfinished had been torn apart too soon. You're very young to be this serious, she said quietly, studying me. I smiled, though it didn't feel casual. And you're too calm to be this lonely. Her breath caught, almost imperceptibly. Then she looked down, a small smile tugging at her lips, sad, beautiful, knowing. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was alive. Outside, the rain softened into mist. The light above us flickered once, like it didn't want to intrude. When she stood to leave, she hesitated. Her hand rested briefly on my shoulder, just enough pressure to leave heat through the fabric. I shouldn't keep coming here, she whispered, her voice shaking slightly. But she didn't move. Neither did I. Her hand slid away slowly, like she was memorizing the shape of restraint. And when the door finally closed behind her, I realized, every rule I thought I could follow had already been broken. She wasn't supposed to come that day. Her appointment had been scheduled for next week. But there she was, standing in the doorway again, coat unbuttoned, hair windblown, eyes uncertain. I was nearby, she said like it was an excuse. And it was raining again. It was always raining when she came. I told her I had a short break before my next patient, and she smiled, a little relieved, a little guilty. She sat on the edge of the exam table, legs crossed, posture perfect, but her fingers wouldn't stay still. You shouldn't really be here without an appointment, I said softly, closing the door behind me. I know, she whispered, not meeting my eyes. I just didn't feel like being alone today. That sentence landed somewhere deep. I stood there for a moment, unsure what to do with my hands, my heart. The room felt smaller again, not just from her presence, but from everything unsaid between us. Her voice filled the silence. I used to come here with my husband. Years ago, she said. Before he stopped trying. I looked up. Her expression didn't break, but her eyes did. I'm sorry, I murmured. She smiled faintly. Don't be. It's been over for a long time. I just forget how to talk to people sometimes. She tried to laugh, but it came out thin. I stepped closer, too close, maybe, and she didn't move back. Her perfume was subtle again, that same warmth I couldn't name. I caught myself watching her lips as she spoke, tracing the edge of her words like they might slip away if I blinked. People talk, she said quietly, eyes flicking up to mine. If they see me here too often. I don't care what they think, I said before I could stop myself. Her breath caught. For a second, we just looked at each other, two people who'd run out of excuses but still tried to find them. Then came the sound, a knock. We both froze. A voice outside the door. Hey, you in there? Dr. Malik's looking for you. My colleague. I stepped back instantly, heartbeat too loud. She exhaled, pressing a hand to her chest like she'd been holding her breath for minutes. 1 second, I called out, forcing my voice steady. I turned to her. She was smiling again, not playfully this time, but with something sad and sweet, like she already knew what I was about to say. When the footsteps faded, she whispered, "That was close." Her laugh was soft, trembling, and when I laughed too, it wasn't from humor. It was from how close we'd just been to something we shouldn't want. She stood to leave. I reached for the chart on the counter, pretending to read it, but she reached at the same time. Our hands met. Neither of us moved. The sound of the rain against the window blurred the world outside. Her fingers curled slightly, almost like she was about to hold mine, then stopped halfway. Her breath brushed my jaw, her eyes fixed somewhere near my mouth. If she leaned an inch closer, the space between us would disappear. "Don't," she whispered. But it didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like a plea. I didn't move. She did, barely. Her nose brushed mine before she turned away, her voice shaking as she said, "Next week, then." And just like that, she was gone again, leaving the air thick, my pulse unsteady, and the echo of her almost kiss trapped between us. By the time she came again, we'd both stopped pretending she was just another patient. Her appointment was in the evening, last slot, as always. The clinic was half-lit, quiet, the kind of silence that made every breath sound louder than it should. I told myself I was just tired when I noticed how my pulse quickened at the sound of her heels in the hallway. But when she entered, I knew the truth. I'd been waiting for her. She closed the door behind her, slow and deliberate. Her hands were empty this time. No bag. No file. Just her. "Rough day?" I asked. "Something like that," she said, her smile faint but weary. She sat down, crossing her legs, her skirt brushing just above her knee, an ordinary gesture that somehow made the air too thick to breathe. "You don't look fine," I said softly. She looked up then, eyes sharp and tired all at once. "And you don't look like someone who knows where the line is anymore." The words hit hard, but her tone wasn't cold. It trembled, like she wanted to believe she could still stop this. "Maybe I don't," I admitted. Something in her expression broke, maybe relief, maybe fear. She stood, pacing slowly. "You think this is easy for me? You're young. People will talk. They always do." I took a step closer. "Then let them." She laughed, but it cracked halfway through. "You don't understand. I've spent half my life trying to be someone respectable. To not make mistakes. Maybe that's the mistake," I said, my voice low, closer now. Her breath hitched. The space between us dissolved. I could see the small lines near her eyes, the way her lips parted just slightly when she breathed in. "Don't," she whispered, but her voice didn't match her eyes. Her pupils were wide, her hand trembling as it brushed against my chest. "Tell me to stop," I said. She didn't. Her fingers lingered there, over my heart, as if measuring how fast it was beating. Then she looked up, and something gave way inside both of us. "I think about you," she said, barely audible. "More than I should." The words hung there, fragile, final, real. I reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. My hand grazed her cheek, her skin warm under my fingertips. She closed her eyes, leaning into the touch, just slightly, just enough to make me forget where we were. "Say something," she breathed. "I can't," I said. "If I do, I won't be able to stop." Her lips parted, not for words, but for breath. The kind that comes right before something irreversible. Then, the sound of footsteps in the hall. We froze. A shadow passed by the frosted glass. The doorknob rattled once, didn't turn, then silence again. Her eyes met mine, wide, alive, terrified. When the footsteps faded, she exhaled a shaky laugh. "We're going to ruin each other," she whispered. I leaned in, close enough for her breath to brush my lips, my voice a whisper against her ear. "Then let's stop pretending we're not already halfway there." The next day, I tried not to think about her. I failed before noon. I kept checking my phone, expecting her name to appear. It didn't. But by late afternoon, I got a message, not from her, but from Dr. Malik. "You've been requested for review." There's been talk about one of your patients. Elena C. Be careful. The words blurred for a second. Talk. Review. Her name. Someone had seen us, or thought they had. By the time I looked up, she was already standing outside the clinic window. Not inside. Not waiting for an appointment. Just watching me from the rain, half hidden under her umbrella. I went out, pulse hammering. You shouldn't be here, I said, echoing her own words from before. I know, she replied. But I had to see you. Her voice was softer than the rain, but something was different, brittle around the edges, afraid. Someone knows, I said quietly. She blinked. Knows what? I didn't answer. Neither did she. We didn't need to. The silence between us was too honest. We took cover under the awning near the side door, small space, barely enough for two people. Her sleeve brushed my arm. She looked up, eyes wide and searching. Did you tell anyone? Of course not. Then why would they? She stopped mid-sentence, realization dawning slowly, painfully. He knows, she whispered. Who? My ex. He still checks in. I thought. She pressed a hand to her forehead, her voice unsteady. He must have followed me. The words hit like cold water. The ring. The silences. The way she'd hesitated whenever the phone buzzed. I swallowed hard. Then you should stay away. Just until this settles. She looked up sharply. You think I can just stop coming here? Like it's that simple? Her tone cracked, anger, fear, something desperate hiding underneath. Elena. She stepped closer, almost into me. Every time I walk in here, I tell myself I won't feel it again. And then you look at me like I'm not invisible anymore. You have no idea what that does to me. Her words trembled in the air between us. I could feel her breath, smell the rain on her skin. I wanted to reach for her, to steady her, to quiet the shaking, but she moved first. Her hand grazed mine, fingers sliding against my palm before she pulled away as if burned. Don't make this harder, I said, voice rough. She laughed under her breath, that same fragile, breaking sound. It's already too late for that. For a long moment either of us spoke. The rain pressed against the awning like it was holding its breath with us. Finally, she said, barely above a whisper. If he confronts you, say it was nothing. Say I misunderstood. Elena. Her eyes shone with something that looked like regret. Please. And before I could answer, she turned, brushing past me, her shoulder grazing my chest, and stepped out into the rain. No umbrella. No backward glance. Just the sound of her heels fading into the storm, leaving me with one truth I couldn't unlearn. Whatever this was, it wasn't just forbidden anymore. It was dangerous. It had been 3 days since the message. 3 days of silence, of second-guessing everything I'd said, everything we'd done. I told myself she wouldn't come back. That maybe it was better if she didn't. Then, on the 4th night, as I was locking up, I heard the soft echo of her voice behind me. Are you really going to pretend this didn't happen? I froze. Turned. She stood in the hallway, drenched from the rain again, eyes red-rimmed but steady. She wasn't hiding anymore. Elena, I can't sleep, she said. I can't stop replaying that moment in my head. The one where I almost... She broke off, shaking her head. I shouldn't be here. Then why are you? She took a step closer. Because I had to see if you meant it. All of it. The things you didn't say. Her voice was low, trembling but certain. I felt something shift, the last fragile thread holding us apart. I meant it, I said quietly. Every word I didn't say. For a second, she just stared at me, searching for something, maybe courage, maybe permission. Then she moved, slow but deliberate, until there was no more space between us that mattered. The air felt electric, every heartbeat, every breath, amplified. Her hand rose first, fingers brushing my jaw like she wasn't sure if she was allowed. I caught her wrist gently, my thumb tracing the pulse beneath her skin. You'll regret this, she whispered, though her voice sounded more like hope than warning. Maybe, I said. But I'll regret not doing it more. She laughed softly, shakily, the kind of laugh that comes from exhaustion, from finally giving up on reason. I've spent half my life doing the right thing, she said. And somehow I still ended up alone. She leaned in. The scent of rain, the faint warmth of her breath, everything around us blurred until there was only her. I felt the tension break, not with words, but with surrender. Her forehead rested against mine. You shouldn't, she whispered again. I know. Neither of us moved. We just breathed the same air, shared the same hesitation. Her hands slid from my jaw to my collar, clutching lightly, as if holding herself back by holding on. And then she looked at me, really looked, and whatever we'd been pretending dissolved. This doesn't fix anything, she said softly. No, I agreed. But it feels real. She nodded once, small, resigned, but true. We stayed like that, close, trembling, caught between everything wrong and everything honest. No kiss. No line crossed. Just two people standing in the quiet aftermath of choosing each other, even if only for this heartbeat. When she finally stepped back, her smile was different, sad but free. Then this is the last time, she said. I wanted to say it wasn't, but the words wouldn't come. Because we both knew the truth. Some moments don't need forever to matter. It's been weeks since that night. Since the rain. Since the silence that followed. I thought she wouldn't come back again, that we'd done the right thing by stepping away. But right things don't always feel right. And then, one quiet afternoon, as the sun broke through the clouds for the first time in days, she walked in. No appointment. No pretense. Just her. Elena, I breathed, standing up so fast my chair scraped the floor. She smiled, that same soft, trembling smile that always felt half apology, half hope. You're still here, she said. Where else would I be? She laughed quietly, shaking her head. You make it sound simple. Maybe it is, I said. Maybe we've been trying too hard to complicate something that just is. She didn't answer right away. Her eyes wandered over the room, the desk, the rain-streaked window, the same space where everything had started. Then she looked back at me, and for once, she didn't hide behind calmness. I kept thinking about what you said, she murmured. That it felt real. It still does. She stepped closer, the distance between us shrinking until I could feel the faint warmth of her breath again. My pulse stumbled, that same familiar ache I thought I'd learned to ignore. I don't want to be afraid of this anymore, she said. Of what people might think. Of the numbers between us. I exhaled slowly. You were never the mistake, Elena. You were the reason I stopped living like one. Her eyes softened, and for the first time since I'd met her, she didn't look tired. She looked alive. When she reached out, her hand found mine easily, like it had been waiting there all along. Her fingers fit against my palm as if molded for it. The simple weight of her touch steadied everything inside me. For a moment, we just stood there, breathing, not speaking, surrounded by sunlight and quiet understanding. Then she stepped closer and rested her forehead against mine. The gesture was so small, so human, it undid me completely. Maybe this doesn't make sense, she whispered. Maybe it doesn't have to, I said. The silence that followed wasn't heavy this time. It was peace. Her thumb brushed over my knuckles, slow, deliberate, grounding. I felt her sigh against my neck, soft and real, like the closing line to a story that didn't need perfect words. When she finally looked up, I kissed her forehead, a quiet promise, not possession. And she smiled, the same smile that once made me forget where the lines were, now reminding me that love doesn't always need permission. We stayed there for a while, her head resting against my chest, my arms around her, both of us finally still. No rain. No fear. Just warmth. Whatever came next didn't matter. For now, we'd stopped running.